Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. I'm your host Rob. This video we're going to do my top 10 favorite kaijus. Okay guys, welcome back. So this top 10 is my favorite kaijus outside of Godzilla. So just so you guys know, outside of Godzilla, Godzilla being obviously my favorite of all time, so that way I'm just making that clear, so when I do this list, nobody's like, hey, why is not Godzilla not on that list? What the hell? It's a top 10 favorite kaijus minus aside from Godzilla. So I just want to make that clear. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so at number 10, Muto. Muto, yes. While some of you may be like, hey Rob, you haven't seen the Muto yet. Well, listen, if you guys pay attention to my videos and have been following me for a while, you know that I've been about as excited about the Muto as I have been about Godzilla. And now, after seeing some of the designs, even though they're toys and we know that the designs are going to look way different on screen, for the most part, I'm very pleased with what I see. And I gotta say, just the secrecy surrounding this monster has made it a quick favorite of mine, and we haven't even seen it on screen yet. So that's why it's number 10, and it's nowhere else on the top 10. But this could very well change after the movie, so we'll have to wait and see. So at number 9 is Anguirus. Yes, Anguirus is my number 9 favorite kaiju. He's been in quite a few movies. He's never really been a highlight. You've seen a couple of movies where he fights side by side with Godzilla. I always considered him to be Godzilla's either mascot or just a sidekick, if not both. I've always liked his design. I thought it was very unique. I always thought his roar was very unique. And to be quite honest, I would have liked to have seen more of him in the universe. I would have liked to have seen maybe a dedicated Anguirus movie. And it's kind of weird because in some movies you see him fight, and he does a phenomenal job. I thought Toho Monsters, he was great. But then in movies like Godzilla vs. Gigan, he seemed to be more of a pain in the butt rather than somebody you could rely on. So, but I would definitely hope that in the future, if these kaiju movies start to hit the scene again, we get a dedicated Anguirus versus movie or just a dedicated movie altogether. So at number 8, we're going to go with Gorgo. Yes, Gorgo. Very, very interesting monster, obviously from England, and everybody knows the story about this monster. I always thought the design was very nice. I thought the story was pretty good too. I mean, here's a monster that's not out to get humanity. It's not out to destroy the world. It's looking for its kid. And I remember watching this as a kid, and for whatever reason, and just being into monsters, and as much as I loved Godzilla and I loved watching Godzilla, it was fun to see a different monster movie with a different story behind it, and I thought it was well done, and always one of the monsters I liked growing up was Gorgo. So at number 7, we have King Kong. Now I know a lot of people don't consider King Kong a kaiju, because the true King Kong is maybe, 20 feet, 25 feet, 30 feet tall at tops. But you know what? He's still, to me, a monster. He's a giant monster, and he's on the list. And King Kong has had so many different iterations of his original story, obviously the Peter Jackson one being the most recent. And we know that he's had one face-off with Godzilla, which was obviously, while you look at it now and it's aged horribly, was one of the bigger, most successful movies in the Godzilla franchise. And King Kong is just a really, it's just a touching tale overall when you look at the original. And, how can you not like King Kong? Big gorilla with a gentle heart, gentle giant, and that's why he's number 7 on my list. So number 6 is Rodan. Rodan, I always thought Rodan was a very cool monster, and I loved watching him team up with Godzilla in Godzilla 3-Headed Monster and Godzilla Monster Zero. I've always liked his roar. I thought his design was always unique. Just a very fun monster to watch on screen. And obviously he's got his own dedicated movie. But I definitely, in the future, once again, if they ever make more monster movies, I would love to see Rodan in a versus movie against another monster. So number 5 is Mothra, and Mothra is an interesting choice here because I hate her for always having to defeat Godzilla, but I love the tale behind Mothra. I love the lore. I love the fact that she is completely good and obviously looks out, for the most part, looks out for humanity's best interest. And every time she is destroying a city or she is causing havoc, it's not because she's being evil. She's either looking for her twins or she's looking for her babies. And when I say twins, I mean the cosmos. Or she's looking for an egg, or whatever the case may be. But Mothra has a lot of good lore. She has her own trilogy, which I've only seen one movie so far, so I'm looking forward to seeing the other two. And very, very fun character, very unique. I love her older look more than her more recent looks. I think the older look looks more realistic to me, where the newer look, it's more like, it's so colorful and vibrant that it's a little too fake. But overall, I think Mothra is a great kaiju, and definitely a big fan of her. So at number 4 is Leatherback from Pacific Rim. Leatherback, I immediately fell in love with Leatherback when I saw him hit the screen towards the end of the Pacific Rim movie. I love the way he fought with ferocity. I love the fact that he had a skill that could really knock out his opponent in terms of his EMP, and just his fighting. I mean, man, he was shredding Jaegers apart towards the end of the movie. And again, I love the design. Looks like a big hulking gorilla type monster, and was always my favorite since that movie's come out, bar none, compared to some of the other kaijus in that movie. And not to say that the other kaijus weren't great, but Leatherback's just my personal favorite. So at number 3 is Mechagodzilla from the 70s. Mechagodzilla is one of my all-time favorite villains in the Godzilla universe. I love the missiles on the fingers, the missiles on the toes, the assortment of weaponry he has, and the fact that he's giving Godzilla such a hard time. And while I like the Mechagodzilla from the 70s, in terms of the kaiju himself, I mean, he has really given it to Godzilla. I mean, the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, he nearly killed him. And again, just a very unique kaiju. Love the whole robot thing, and I fell in love with him the minute I saw him on screen. And I had to give respect to any kaiju that can do the number that he's done to Godzilla during their encounters. So at number 2 is King Ghidorah, or Ghidorah, however way you want to pronounce it. I usually say Ghidorah. King Ghidorah is, again, my all-time favorite villain for Godzilla. He is one step ahead of Mechagodzilla. They're very close, neck and neck. But Ghidorah is just, he's such a unique, beautiful, well-crafted, well-designed monster. The 3 heads, the 2 tails, the gold. You know, it's almost incredible because he's a space monster, but there's something very regal and very divine about him, even though he always plays a villain, except for, of course, GMK. And I always loved his original roar from the 70s. I wasn't too much of a big fan of the one in the 90s, but either way, I love this kaiju. I think it's a great design. It's more like a Tiamat dragon type monster, and just a great design. And I cannot get tired of Ghidorah. I would love if he ever made it into an American movie or had his own. I mean, it's slim to none. I understand that, but I can dream. And finally, at number 1 for my top 10 favorite kaijus besides Godzilla, Gamera. Yes, the flying turtle Gamera. You know, even before I saw the High Side series, I was a fan of Gamera when I first saw his movie back when I was a kid. And you know what it is? I actually, growing up, was in love with turtles. So that's what drew me to Gamera as a kid. I used to have a turtle when I was a kid, and I always just like turtles. You know, just one of those people that like turtles. And I thought it was very unique to have a monster turtle that could shoot rocket boosters out of his shell, spin around in the air, and you know, it was very fun to watch as a kid. I had so much fun with it. And then now, more recently, watching the Heisei series of Gamera and seeing how he worked so well in a more serious tone movie was such a treat for me to watch. And Gamera, I think, is, in my opinion, the second most popular monster behind Godzilla. And I hope one day maybe he could grace the United States silver screen. But who knows? But it's nice to know that he is going to be getting another movie, possibly next year, and I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, guys, that's my top 10 favorite kaijus of all time, outside of Godzilla. Hope you like the list. Please be more than happy to share your top favorite kaijus that are not Godzilla in the comments below. I would definitely like to see what you guys' tastes are. And that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.